Now, an Emeritus Newsbrief, I'm Lynn Houston. President Obama, after meeting with his national security team, revealing more details as to how the suspect in the attempted airliner bombing got aboard. The president said the meeting revealed more human and systemic failures that nearly cost 300 lives.
We will make a summary of this preliminary report public within the next few days. But let me share some of what we know so far. As I described over the weekend, elements of our intelligence community knew that Umar Farouk Abdulmutallab had traveled to Yemen and joined up with extremists there. It now turns out that our intelligence community knew of other red flags, that Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula sought to strike not only American targets in Yemen, but the United States itself. And we had information that this group was working with an individual who was known, who we now know was in fact the individual involved in the Christmas attack. The bottom line is this: the U.S. government had sufficient information to have uncovered this plot and potentially disrupt the Christmas Day attack. But our intelligence community failed to connect those dots, which would have placed the suspect on the no-fly list. In other words, this was not a failure to collect intelligence. It was a failure to integrate and understand the intelligence that we already had.
Obama says the suspect, Umar Farouk Abdulmutallab, should have been on the no-fly list, which would have prevented him from boarding Northwest Flight 253 in Amsterdam for the trip to Detroit. Since the attack, the Transportation Security Administration has stepped up security for all domestic and international flights, in addition to the list of countries revealed Monday that will get extra scrutiny. And detainees now at Guantanamo who were being considered for transfer to Yemen will be kept in U.S. custody. Yemen is the country where the suspect obtained his explosives. More on that story on the Emeritus News National World page. The Internal Revenue Service announcing new rules to supervise tax preparers. The phased-in regulations will take effect after this year's filing deadline. It'll require professional tax preparers to register with the IRS, be subject to a limited tax compliance check to ensure that they have handled their own taxes properly, and be required to take competency tests and continuing professional education. More on the Emeritus News business page. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission announcing a Tennessee company has agreed to pay 23 African-American employees $650,000 to settle a race discrimination and retaliation lawsuit. The EEOC says the company, a radioactive waste processor, also subjected minority employees to more hazardous duties. More on the Emeritus News employment page. Two appeals court decisions. One in a California appeals court rejects an attempt by insurance companies to avoid paying consumer advocates for expenses related to challenges for excessive insurance premiums. And an Ohio appeals court has reversed a lower court coupon settlement proposed by Carfax in a class action lawsuit against the company. The lawsuit claimed that Carfax duped consumers by not fully informing them of a settlement and selling incomplete reports on vehicles. The Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation says it's giving Whirlpool Corporation an $11 million infusion to keep its pension plan alive. Just last month, the company had to come up with $1 million to settle a race discrimination lawsuit. The Centers for Disease Control out with better news about the H1N1 swine flu outbreak. The CDC now says widespread flu is reported in only 4 states, but warns that could change at any time since we're still in the flu season. The CDC says vaccines remain available to all who want them. More on the Emeritus News Major Developments page. The latest on the biggest issues and public policy at emeritusnews.com. And live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the Emeritus News channel at livestream.com. That's an Emeritus News Brief. I'm Lynn Houston.